Good morning from Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass. We're located here at 5109 Liberty Highway, Pendleton, South Carolina. I'm your host today, and my co-host, Mr. Mark Stoudemire, is with us today.
Hello.
Today is Wednesday, November 27th, 2024. The weather outside is 49 degrees. The high today is supposed to reach 62 with a 3% chance of rain this afternoon. A cool day in the upstate, but tomorrow the rain is coming. We're supposed to have pretty good rains tomorrow. Most of you know about the terrible storms we had in the upstate. I'd like for everyone to remember those that weren't so fortunate as us. Keep them in your prayers. They're still having a lot of struggles up there. So, yeah, just keep them in your prayers, and if you can donate something, that would be great. Our shout-outs today go to Jane, Heather, Josh, Carter, Blaine, Hampton, Hudson, Kinsey, Kim, Josh, Lakely, Grant, Heidi, Sylvia, Harper, Charlie, and of course, always loving our son, Martin. We miss him dearly. Here at Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass, we have music lessons all week. We teach fiddle, classical fiddle, mandolin, bass, guitar, banjo, anything with a string on it, we teach. And one of the instructors is next to me, Mr. Mark Stoudemire. He teaches the bass and the ukulele. Oh, and he can teach mandolin too if you need mandolin instructions.
Starter mandolin.
Yeah, starter mandolin. I believe we have the best instructors in the upstate by far. I always mention that each week because we do. We have good folks, and they're very, very smart in their field of musics. They've been doing it a long time, and they're good teachers. For more information about lessons or about an instrument or anything about music, you can call me here, Don, 864-376-1482. Again, my number is 864-376-1482. You can also call during the broadcast if you have any questions. Please click on the subscribe button below. See, when you're watching me, there's a little thing in white, I think, with black letters that says subscribe. Hit that and subscribe for our channel. We would sure appreciate it. And we have a lot of lookers now, but we need to get a few more. If you would like to sponsor our show, just call me and let me know what your business is or what you do. And there's no charge to be a sponsor on this show. And we'll mention your business or whatever you might do for a sponsor. We'll mention it here live. Also follow us on our social media pages, YouTube and Facebook under Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass, and Instagram under BG Bluegrass. Click below to subscribe. Remember, okay, we sell hats, shirts, mugs. By the way, I got some hats I didn't know I had. I got a whole selection of hats. Mark's got a mug, coffee mug, a Breazeale's Grocery Bluegrass coffee mug. And we have hats, shirts, and we also sell instruments, fiddles, mandolins, guitars, bass, banjos, pretty much anything with a string on it. And if we don't have one here, we can get one for you, for sure. Any instrument, bluegrass instrument that you want to get. Our sponsor today is Mr. Gary Bell. He normally teaches on Wednesday, but being the holidays, he took the day off, so there'll be no instructions here today on Wednesday. Anyway, Mr. Gary Bell, our banjo and guitar instructor here at Breazeale's. Mr. Bell teaches all kinds of music: blues, rock, country, folk, and bluegrass. He is the brother of a longtime friend and musician, Mr. Larry Bell. And you know, they look so much alike and their names are close, Gary and Larry. And when Gary first walked in, I just kind of had to take a step back because he looked so much like his brother, Larry. And anyway, we are so blessed to have Mr. Gary Bell here at Breazeale's. Point
out the banjo with Larry's picture on it. This is what he used to teach with.
Yeah, we have a banjo. I don't know if you can see it.
Can you see this on the screen, Jane?
Maybe you can grab it over and bring it over here, Mark. Yeah. That was Mr. Larry Bell's teaching banjo that he taught here at the store for many, many, many years that he taught here. And he said I could have it, and I put his picture on it, and we hang it up there, and that's where it stays. Nobody plays it. It just stays there, a reminder of Mr. Bell and his wonderful talent and his musical career with us here at Breazeale's Grocery, Bluegrass. Thank you, Mark. We are blessed to have Mr. Gary Bell here at Breazeale's to teach what he loves to do, and that is play music. He loves his music, and he has students in Greenville as well that come to his home to learn about music and to play music and to have fun with music. Music is a lot of fun. You know, and once you learn an instrument, that's something nobody can take away from you. You take it with you the rest of your life. So if you're interested, call me here at 864-376-1482. It'll change your life. I guarantee you it'll change your life. We have several new musicians and new students that have come on board here lately. So make sure about that. Also, I want to mention SPIGMA's coming up the last week in January. It's the Southern Preservation of Bluegrass Music Association. We've been going for many, many years. And I get a block of rooms on the 3rd floor. So if you're interested, last weekend in January, it's a 3-day event. Well, actually, it's a 4-day event. We stay 3 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we come back Sunday. But they do have events on Monday. Mark stays for the extra.
No, they usually have something on Sunday, but they do have events on Sunday. There used to be, Jack Hatfield would have a banjo workshop on Sunday. I don't know whether it'll be this year, but I would stay over to stay all day for the banjo workshop and then come home on Monday.
Oh, so they don't have anything on Monday, right?
No, it's over on Sunday evening after the stage show. And now my son lives in Hermitage, so Sunday I just go to his house and stay overnight.
Yeah.
Come home Monday or Tuesday. I will say this. I'm set up. My check cleared yesterday, so.
Oh, okay, good.
SPIGMA has my check.
Yeah,
So
good.
hopefully I'll have a room when I get there.
Yeah, I get a block of rooms on the 3rd floor every year, and I usually fill them up pretty
Okay.
good. So we got a pretty good group from the store that's going again this year. So if you're interested, SPIGMA, Southern Preservation Bluegrass Music Association, the end of January, it's coming up, 3-day event. You can call me at 864-376-1482. I still have applications here.
I believe
Get
that
it sent in.
the 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, I believe, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
I believe those are the dates.
Right. Okay, so much for that. So now we're going to talk about Thanksgiving. And I've got a little thing that my wife Jane gave me to talk about Thanksgiving. I thought it was pretty cool. It's 7 surprising stories about Thanksgiving. You know what they used to eat for Thanksgiving? Raccoon for dinner. The woman who pitched Thanksgiving and why turkey isn't even that good, they would say. Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and we've got 7 known stories. I don't know if I'll tell you because Mark's got some information he'd like to share about Thanksgiving too. But here's some stories you can tell around the dinner table. Learn why dry turkey is on the menu instead of cow tongue or raccoon, and meet the woman who spent 15 years trying to make Thanksgiving an official holiday. Consider adding banana to your seasonal spread and read about the return of the lost native language. Gather around the table to share these surprising tales of Thanksgiving history, food, and tradition. In November of 1926, President Calvin Coolidge received a unique Thanksgiving gift. A woman from Mississippi sent him a raccoon, noting that it had a toothsome flavor. She suggested it would make for satisfying Thanksgiving dinner. Eating raccoon wasn't wasn't all that uncommon at the time. It is believed that the practice started with Native Americans and then passed to enslaved African people across American South. The trend eventually spread north, first in low-income communities and then becoming integrated into middle and upper-class diets. By 1926, raccoon was considered a food fit for the president, but Coolidge didn't eat his new furry friend. Instead, he gave her a collar and a name Rebecca. The lucky raccoon stayed with Coolidge for the rest of the president's term before being given to the Rock Creek Park Zoo.
Oh, wow.
While Thanksgiving is now celebrated as a time to come together, a 19th century campaign to establish it as a permanent holiday was interpreted as a culture war against the American South. They considered it a northern holiday instead, intended to force New England values on the rest of the country. To them, pumpkin pie, a Yankee food, was a divisious, sweet symbol of anti-slavery sentiment, writes Errol Nola. Pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie, all common today, is classic American Thanksgiving. But in the 18th century, minced meat pies took the center stage. These sweet and meaty pastries had one central ingredient that could be found among most prestigious Thanksgiving spreads: cow tongue. Ooh. Highly sought after, the rich, fatty meat was enjoyed by the upper class on special occasion holidays. It's uncertain why the food faded in popularity, but it probably had something to do with the rise of muscle meats replacing mince meats. Until the mid-19th century, American farmers gave little thought to how they bred their turkeys, writes Natasha Frost. You simply bred your birds with whatever suitable mates you could get your hands on. That was until the 1850s, when the first hen fever hit America. People began to realize selectively breeding birds could yield a more delicious product for your plate. While most of the hen craze focused on chicken, people soon took an interest in turkeys too. Despite the many delicious and carefully bred birds that would come to be in the following years, one turkey breed, the broad white-breasted, has taken center stage for the past 60 years, and it's not even very good. So that's part of my story about the turkeys and Thanksgiving. So that's my share of the.
That's your story?
That's my story. I'm
sticking to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Don had texted me yesterday and asked me about what he thought for topic today. Well, obviously, I thought the same thing, Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is tomorrow, and we in America have a whole lot to be thankful for, especially, I think, for the fact that we live here. You know, we might be a little divided today, but still, you've got to say it's the greatest country in the world to have lived in and to have been born into. And I think we're trying to correct some of the things that have been wrong through the years. But anyway, I was sitting this morning with my wife, Julie, and saying, I don't know what we'll do. We'll do something about Thanksgiving. She said, why don't you look into whether you can find out if the Pilgrims had music?
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll look into that. So I did. But I'll tell you one side note. I don't guess Julie would mind me telling this. One of her ancestors was a Mayflower passenger, and we saw her grave, saw her tombstone in a cemetery out on Cape Cod several years ago. Her name was Constance Snow. She wound up living on Cape Cod, and there in the cemetery we visited, there were 3 graves that were designated Mayflower passengers. So a lot of those people, after they got to Plymouth, some of them went down and lived on the Cape Cod Peninsula there. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Julie's mom had told her that years ago that they had a Mayflower ancestor. So What did the Pilgrims do for music? Let me see if I can find out a little bit about that. I've got an article here. It's entitled Music in the Mayflower. And this article is by a gentleman. I want to give him credit. It's by Stephen Karadianis, who is the conductor of the Plymouth Philharmonic Orchestra. So that, I guess, would be Plymouth, Massachusetts. He's also conductor of the Masterworks Chorale and the New England Conservatory Youth Symphony. So if you want to look this up, it is on a website called wickedlocal.com. Now, the name Wicked kind of concerned me a little bit, so I look it up. Turns out that is used as an expression in New England. This is a network of a bunch of stations or internet sites. Wicked is a term that's used routinely in New England to mean extremely. So you might say that was a wicked good pie, and that means it was a great pie, an extremely good pie. So it had nothing to do with witches or anything like that. So I felt comfortable with talking about this. Okay, what he says, and let me find the paragraph where he talked about what came over on the Mayflower. Not much. He says so back to the question at hand, what music was brought over on the Mayflower in 1620? If there were any musical instruments on board, they were only for private use, since musical instruments were never allowed during pilgrim worship services. However, according to a gentleman named Stephen O'Neill, who's Associate Director and Curator of Pilgrim Hall Museum in Plymouth, there is little evidence of musical instruments aboard the Mayflower except for some trumpets and drums of that period. But regarding their worship, they did bring along published hymnals from which to sing. Given the choice of hymnals available to them at the time, their preferred hymnal is rather telling, as it exemplifies both the lineage and independent streak of these Plymouth-bound pilgrims. And there's a study, he says, I found details of this subject in a study written in 1920 for the 300th anniversary of the Mayflower Voyage, and that study is titled The Music of the Pilgrims, a description of the psalm book brought to Plymouth in 1620. The study was by Waldo Selden Pratt of the Hartford Theological Seminary, and he gives excerpts from this, so I will not attempt to read all of this, but I did gather that the hymnal that they used, the hymns were virtually all or primarily from biblical passages. They didn't use songs that were written by other songwriters, even like Christian songwriters or whatever of that day. Their music came pretty much directly from the Bible, apparently. I saw that somewhere, but I'm not going to stop to find the exact wording on that. So you could look this up, the music of the Pilgrims, and you'll probably find this. So anyway, I think that was all I was going to say about that. So they didn't bring many musical instruments over, except for, as it says, some trumpets and drums. So anyway, that's a little bit about the music of the Pilgrims, maybe.
Yeah.
And I had actually, how long do we have? We still got a few minutes?
Yeah, we still got a few minutes.
Are any of you familiar with the song Over the River and Through the Wood? I'm sure most of you are.
Yeah.
Let's sing a little bit of it, Don. I'm about to fall off.
Okay.
We'll acapella sing it today. No, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to sing the first verse. The second verse we'll sing through here, and then we'll go to the top of here and sing the Dapple Gray, and then we'll go down to the last verse, okay? So we won't sing much.
Yeah.
Then I'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay? 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 4 and a over the river and through the woods to grandfather's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through the white and drifted snow. Over the river and through the woods, oh how the wind does blow. It stings the toes and bites the nose as over the ground we go. Now top over the river and through the woods, trot fast my dapple gray. Spring over the ground like a hunting hound for this Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the woods, now grandmother's cap I spy. Hurrah for the fun is the pudding done, hurrah for the pumpkin pie. Okay,
Good.
that's a little,
Yeah.
oh, is it in the hymn book? Oh, okay, great. We've got lyrics to that because I was going to do We Gather Together also. Real quick, this Over the River and Through the Woods, oh, I closed my computer here, was written by a lady, I think in 1844. Okay, touch it. Now, Over the River and Through the Woods.
Yeah.
Or Over the River and Through the Wood, or the New England Boys song about Thanksgiving Day, was written by Lydia Maria Child and published in 1844. It is a famous Thanksgiving song sung even today. The song has many versions, and the modern one is more well known than the original. And there's a couple of differences. The original title used the word wood, W-O-O-D, singular instead of woods. However, it became woods over time to signify the forests. Other similar changes that occurred were the word grandfather became grandmother. Nowadays, when we usually sing it, it's over the river to grandmother's house we go. But the original said grandfather. So this article, which you could find, it's on Plativity's Home Nursery Rhymes. The article is, let's see who wrote it. Barut, I think it's a lady that wrote it. Not seeing her name, but anyway, that told you a little bit about the songs. It started as a poem, and someone put music to it later on, and I was going to read It was a poem published in Flowers for Children, Volume 2. The poet Lydia Maria Child was an abolitionist, Native American rights activist, women's rights activist, and journalist. She wrote the poem based on her visit to her grandfather's house during Thanksgiving. The house was later restored by Tufts University in 1976. It is also called Paul Cudis House and is located in Medford, Massachusetts. And it goes on to say, there's some more, and then it says, an unknown composer set the tune to turn the poem into a joyful song for kids. The song is sung in community programs and at school every year. The song inspired a children's book by Derek Anderson titled Over the River, A Turkey's Tale. The book tells a funny story of a family of turkeys going to a vegetarian Thanksgiving. It's a Simon & Schuster book. Okay, and let's see if I could find the whole poem here. I was going to read it to you, but as usual when I'm dealing with a computer, it doesn't want to come up. Let's see, is this it? No, it's just giving me the popular version. So I'll read it. It's pretty similar. Over the river and through the woods to grandfather's house we go. The horse knows the way to carry the sleigh through the white and drifted snow. Oh, over the river and through the woods. Oh, how the wind does blow. It stings the toes and bites the nose as over the ground we go. Over the river and through the wood to have a first-rate play. Oh, hear the bell ring, ting-a-ling-ling, hurrah for Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the woods, trot fast, my dapple gray. Spring over the ground like a hunting hound, for this is Thanksgiving Day. Over the river and through the woods and straight through the barnyard gate. We seem to go extremely slow, it is so hard to wait. Over the river and through the woods, now grandmother's cap I spy. Hurrah for fun, is the pudding done? Hurrah for the pumpkin pie. So that's verses probably some of which you probably don't hear typically. But anyway, that's the whole modern version. The original poem was very similar, but it was longer, about 12 verses long. So anyway, so that's the story of Over the River and Through the Woods. We've got about 5 minutes, and I also had something on We Gather Together, the hymn I was going to try to cover, because you probably sang that at church on Sunday if you were at church, because most of the churches probably sang. Y'all had it last night? You read it? Okay, read it at Cowboy Church last night. This hymn, this article is by C. Michael Hone, and it's from the internet, from Discipleship Ministries. The first verse is, and Don has it in the hymn book here. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. You want to sing it, Don? Let's go. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He chastens and hastens His will to make known. The wicked oppressing, thou cease from distressing. Sing praises to His name. He forgets not His own. Beside us to guide us, our God with us joining, ordaining, maintaining His kingdom divine. So from the beginning the fight we were winning. Thou, Lord, wast at our side, the glory be thine. Last verse. We all do extol Thee, Thou leader in battle, and pray that Thou still our defender wilt be. Let Thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised, O Lord, make us free. We have, okay, that's the whole song. We have 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a little bit here again. In many American hymnals, We Gather Together appears as a Thanksgiving hymn. Perhaps this is because the opening line and the general idea that God is with us regardless of our circumstances. However, the hymn speaks more about God's providence throughout the trials of life. The story behind the hymn clarifies its text. The hymn is a late 16th century, that would be 1500s, expression of celebration of freedom by the Netherlands from Spanish oppression. Okay, like many older hymns, it finds its way to us through a circuitous route. Although listed as an anonymous hymn, some sources indicate that Adrianus Valerius, known for his poems on the Dutch War of Independence, from the perspective of a peasant, authored the original text in Dutch. Since making a living as a poet was not possible, Valerius had a prosperous career as the toll and customs controller for Veer, eventually being promoted to tax collections and finally appointed to the city council. That sounds like that could have been reported yesterday in the news. We have 1 minute to go, y'all. Okay, the hymn was first published in 1626, and I'm going to have to say, if y'all want to read more about it, this is interesting, but look it up on the internet. It's We Gather Together. It'll be in your hymn book because it's a common hymn, and that's what I have.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're about right at time. I was going to try to get this maybe a couple verses of Old Slewfoot, but I don't know that we have time.
We could do hot corn, cold corn.
Let's do hot corn.
Hot corn, cold corn, bring along a demijohn. Hot corn, cold corn, bring along a demijohn. Hot corn, cold corn, bring along a demijohn. Farewell, Uncle Bill, see you in the morning. Yes, sir. Okay.
That's
about take us there, James.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Come back and see us next week, next Wednesday, 11 a.m.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone has a good Thanksgiving day tomorrow.